of allowing the song, allowing the presentation, allowing the work to become what it is. You get to see this dynamic fluidity. You get to see the transition. The reason why I had to show you and break the series by showing you what it is that I see when I lecture is to show you, look, I am now not in my state of being. Look at what I do. Okay, now let's come back and watch me get back into the state, right? It's a demonstrative act. Okay, so last sentence. It is in this process of the use of equipment that we must actually encounter the character of the equipment. It's in its use that we encounter its character. It's not until you, of your own volition, decide, hey, you know, I was watching Dr. Campbell's 60-hour series on Nietzsche. I'm on video 189, who knows, whatever. And you know, I want to go back today. I haven't watched it for 2 weeks. Let me go back to 190. You know, and for me, I love that. This is precisely why I don't do, and I will never do, like you know, a 1 hour upload or a 2 hour upload. I'm against that. I like the idea of leveling. I'm a gamer. The way that gamers level, you go, you know, if level 70 is the height, you move up from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. There's a sense of accomplishment in leveling, right? It's a motivation to go higher, to play more, to play harder, which is why I can't wait for the Skyrim expansion. I so want to play that. Help me, I'm so manic. But the idea is there's a leveling process in gaming, and that leveling process itself is a motivating factor. My job is leveling. I level in my job. You go from an assistant to an associate, from an associate to a full, from a full to a distinguished to a blah blah blah. Right? You level up. Similarly, my lecture series themselves are constructed with this notion of leveling. If you know that there's 70 videos in the entirety of my lecture series, it makes it more interesting for you if you recognize, hey, I can come back to this whenever I want. Dude, I took a year break from Dr. Campbell. I didn't want to watch that. I forgot about it. I came back. I checked my notes. I was on video 70, and I'm going to jump right into video 71, right? There is a sense in which, because the video lectures are broken into parts, it allows you to see and track your progress, right? Insofar as you're tracking it, insofar as you're seeing it, it allows this equipment to be what it really is, which is the motivation to go to 72, to 73, to 74, to 75. And no one's forcing you to do it. If you're watching this right now, if you just heard what I said, think about who you are as a person. You're the type of person that watches this type of shit. Why would anyone want to do that? Much less, why would anyone have... That's what I love about YouTube, right? That's why it is the god of all social media. Because you get precisely the viewership that you want. I want people like this. I want you. I need you, and you need me. We have this amazingly awesome symbiotic relationship because I make tools for people who need these types of tools. Who in the world would need a tool like this? You need it. And may the universe bless you for it, because I would have no function in this world without people like you. Right? So it's beautiful, right? So it is in this process of the use of equipment that we must actually encounter the character of equipment. Okay, so now let's just talk about the shoe. And let's talk about the shoe aesthetically. So I'm just going to talk about the image for a little bit. Imagine now that Van Gogh takes the time, having said everything that I just said for the last hour, Van Gogh takes the time and he thinks to himself, I want to paint this picture of the shoe. He recognizes, in a Heideggerian sense, that it's not going to be the shoe as such, because that only functions sort of real time. And there can't necessarily be an awareness of the shoe, but I want to show you visually the shoe. So the shoe's worn, the edges are tattered. You can see dirt stains on the shoestring. You can see a hole. The bottom is scuffed and itself tattered. There's mud impacted at parts, right? The presentation of the shoe as a visual aesthetic piece, as a work of art, immediately sends you into the field. But you, as a perceiver, have to be patient. Art isn't something that you just right? You're not going to get the gems if you're distracted in 10 minutes, right? I have people say this all the time. Hey, Dr. Campbell, your lecture series is too damn long, right? It's like, it's overkill. Well, I mean, it's not for you. I haven't constructed these lecture series for those types of people. I have specifically designed these lecture series to, it's like the weed out class in college, right? My lecture series are weed out classes. I don't want everybody watching my series, right? I'm about to hit 1 million views like in the next couple of days, which is going to be freaking epic. But I don't want people to watch, and this isn't for the mass. It's not designed for the mass. It's designed to purposefully weed out the mass. Not because of this good or bad thing, but if you're watching this series, you're not like other people. It's not to say that you're better or that I'm better, but you're not like the mass, right? 10 minutes in, you're not going to get any knowledge, right? These series are 50, 60 hours long on one scholar, on one text. And I am going to finish Nietzsche's Will to Power. I'm not just going to do a half on Nietzsche, even though I'm still stuck at the half point. I'll wrap up these 4 series now, return to Nietzsche for overkill, and do another 50 hours on Nietzsche and take him to 100. But the idea is, listen, if you're still watching my Nietzsche lecture series after 60 hours, then you're really digging deep, right? You have a very meaningful relationship with the text, with an ability to understand. Similarly, if I present that image of the shoe, if you see that image of the shoe, and you know what? Let me try and see. And you start to look at the shoe. And you start to think about the shoe. And then there's that moment where Van Gogh's got you. You're no longer in the art museum. You're no longer surrounded by your friends. You don't hear the distraction of people's chatter. You're there, and you're not even looking at the shoe anymore. Your mind briefly wanders for a second, and you think of a woman in a field who might be wearing this shoe. Right before you recognize the sound of a kid walking by, art just did what it was supposed to do. Art was in its being. The piece became what it was, because the piece took you to that place. I feel it right now. I don't know if you can feel it, but I feel it. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. Right? When art does that, when you look at the piece and you stop and you start to wonder about some stupid crap, or you think about your childhood, or it throws you just for a second. I mean, if you're in that state for a while, then God bless you, right? But it might just be a second. It's at that moment where you drifted, where the artwork drifted you into another state, that the art piece, became what it is. When the art piece becomes what it is, you're not critically assessing the art. You're not aware that you're looking at art. I remember looking at the piece after I first got it, and I opened it real time on camera, and I was tripped out. And then when I turned the camera off and I started looking at it, I started thinking about Transformers, because there's robots in there. I started thinking about my childhood. I started thinking about myself. It was, you just lost. You lost. Even now in doing it, I lost myself for a second. Right? It really became art because I wasn't thinking about the piece. It sent me. The art sent me somewhere else mentally. That's when art's doing what it's supposed to do. Right? The art directs you somewhere else. Right? When I'm listening to Wheezy, or it could be whoever it is that you're listening to, but when I'm specifically listening to track number 10, it sends me in a different place. It sends me into what I call, robot mode, right? It sends me in a robot mode, and I probably need to change my profile pic. I don't want to change my profile pic. But it sends me in a robot mode, right? Because it's like, I see you with your palms in your hands, but me, I'm not trying to relax. I'm not trying to keep my palms in my hand. I want my palms to be filled with the implements of my profession, right? I want my palms to be filled with my lecture notes and my expo marker. When my hands are filled like this, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to work. I become that machine, right? And I surround myself. I'm getting too crunk. But yeah, so you get the idea of the artwork and the piece and the painting and stuff. Wheezy, come on, baby. We need more music. Stop playing. Alright, so underneath the picture, right? Quote, but perhaps, how much time do I have? But perhaps